Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss a video from us.
Hello and welcome to the expert interview series, and today we have with us Mr. Nikhil Chawla, a distinguished IP and transactional attorney with a profound expertise in dispute resolution, intellectual property, transactional and compliance work. Nikhil brings a wealth of experience and his expertise extends across a spectrum of legal domains including IP law, entertainment law, contract law, data and privacy protection. He has previously worked at prestigious law firms before starting his own law firm, Nikhil Chawla and Associate. It is a boutique law firm based in Delhi. The firm specializes in providing solution to contentious and non-contentious matters relating to dispute resolution, intellectual property, and commercial law. We welcome you to the expert interview series, sir, and hope our viewers get to learn from your experiences.
Thank you, Pooja, for that kind and elaborate introduction. I'm very excited to be here.
Right. So, as we know that you are working in the law sector, so would you like to share your experiences with our audience about your journey from being an engineer to becoming an IP and transactional attorney?
Sure. Growing up, I was really passionate about debating and technology. I mean, these are the two areas which I, was really engrossed in, and I wanted, my career to be in one of these two areas. When I was in school, I didn't have much idea about career choices. I just went with the flow, and I ended up going to an engineering school. In my last year, I had made a class project, which, I had put in so much time and effort, and I really wanted to protect, but I had no idea how to protect that class project. And, that is the time when I learned about IP and why IP is so important for engineers and inventors. That's something which, really fascinated me. I still remember the more I learned and I read about it, the more I wanted to be in this space. And, when I learned that I can make a career out of it, at that point of time, I was also helping my fellow students, classmates, and my friends with IP work, with the knowledge that I had gathered. And when I learned that I can make a career choice out of it, I decided to pursue law, to become an intellectual property and transactional attorney. It's been 10 years, I'll say 10 great years, where I've, practiced as an IP and a transaction attorney, and I haven't looked back.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. I think many of us, when we start after graduation, we don't know about the clarity of where we should go, and it's all about learning on the path.
Yes, I mean, I come across so many students, so many people who, in school they've, come with the pre-mindset that they want to do engineering, that they want to do law. These are the core areas that people want to focus at. But later on, one has to look at what is one really good at, what is, some area which one is really passionate about, and then explore these career opportunities. There's so many career opportunities out there, especially in today's age and time. So a lot of these exciting opportunities have really opened up, and I implore all and everyone who is watching to, not just make a haste decision as to this is something which they want to do. I want everyone to take their time and explore their options before committing to any career.
Right. You need to find your footing.
Yes.
Right. So, since you're working as an IP and transactional attorney, can you walk us through some of the key activities and tasks that you undertake in your role?
Sure. So currently, I have two concerns. One of my concern is startup filings. We provide 60 plus services, which includes, incorporation, IP agreements, tax, compliance, licenses, certifications. So we work closely with startups, and we do your end-to-end legal as well as CA compliance work and filings.
Okay.
I also have my own law firm, like you said in my introduction. My law firm name is Nikhil Chawla and Associates. We are a boutique IP law firm, based out of Delhi, and we cater to clients in various domains. For instance, FMCG, media and entertainment, pharma, life sciences, software, tobacco, telecommunications. And the services that we provide are one, IP procurement. So we basically, work with the clients to understand what sort of IP protections they're looking at. Sometimes we'll have clients walk into offices with an invention and they'll have no idea as to what sort of IP protection they can get. So we'll work with them. We'll advise them. Okay, you can get maybe like a copyright on the outlaw. You can get a design on this aspect. You can get a patent on the functionality, and you can get a trademark on the trade name, etc. So we work with them to understand what is the scope of protection. We do the IP filings for them, and we manage the IP portfolio. The second thing that we do is we do IP enforcement. So if somebody, copies your design, your trademark, your patent, we do pre-litigation enforcement measures as well as IP litigation. The third thing that we do is transactional law. So we do IP licensing. We, help you draft agreements. It can be any sort of agreements. Again, like for your founders agreement, your third-party agreements, your vendor agreements, etc. And we also do piracy and anti-counterfeiting actions as well as part of the services that we provide at the firm.
Right, that's quite a lot of task for a day to deal in. Just out of context, I wanted to ask how easy it is to get a copyright or a trademark when we talk about protecting a particular brand or a particular content. Let us suppose.
Okay, so for trademark, we somebody wants to get a trademark. We usually, as the first step, we conduct a due diligence. We see if that mark has been, registered or in use by any third party. Mm-hmm. Once the road is clear, nobody is using a deceptively similar mark, we file the application for the trademark office. Okay. Now, the prosecution, which is basically the back and forth between the trademark office and the agent or the applicant, now that is something which takes a considerable period of time. You can expect, around 8 months to 1.5 years for you to get a trademark registration. And similarly for copyright as well, copyright is much more, I will say, faster and efficient. You can expect your copyright registration to come within, I think, 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
As well. So, but a patent, on the other hand, is a little more elaborate. There's a lot of rigorous examination that takes place before the patent office, and that can take up to 1.5 to 2 years. Again, there are concessions which are given to startups, which if you're a startup, you can avail. But on an average, it takes around 1.5 to 2 years for you to get a patent.
Right. When we talk about copyright and trademark, does that provide equal security?
All these three legs that I've talked about, one is copyright, one is trademark, one is design, one is patent. Mm-hmm. All of these four, you basically, the scope is on different things. So for instance, if you want to get a protection over a product or a process, then you go for patent protection. If you want to get protection over your brand name or your company name, then you go for trademark registration.
Right.
Copyright is something which you can get on any artistic work, any literary work, any dramatic work, and any cinematograph film. So if you want to get protection over these four, then you go over for copyright. Now, again, there are requirements that you have to fulfill when you're going for a lot of these, either a patent or a trademark or a copyright. You have to fulfill these requirements when you file for them. But the point I'm trying to make is the scope is different for the three segments of the three broad segments of IP. So your trademark, copyright, design, and patents.
Thank you so much for the clarification, sir. So moving on to the next question, what are some of the common challenges you encounter in managing IP litigation, and how do you strategize to achieve favorable outcomes for your clients?
Okay, so IP laws can be really intricate. It can vary across jurisdictions. So staying updated on the latest legal developments, not only in India, but in other jurisdictions as well, is a constant challenge. Right. Also, I think in today's time, when we meet clients, every client really want results. They're very result centric, right. And they want to keep the cost to a minimum. So some of the strategies that I adopt, which really have helped me in my career, is one, thorough case assessment. So whenever I get a case, I do a detailed analysis of the case. I understand what are the strengths and the weaknesses, and I identify the key issues that will help me make a robust strategy for that client.
Okay.
The second thing which I like to do is early case resolution. I like to kind of see and explore early settlement so that it helps save cost for the clients. And at the end of the day, I don't want to prolong the litigation unnecessary when that shouldn't be the case.
Right.
Third thing which I feel is that there should be a regular and a constant communication with the client. Whatever happens in court, the client should be updated the very same day. Whatever legal strategy that you have, concocted for that client, that has to be communicated to the client so that that is in line with the company's needs as well. All the risk that you think might happen or might incur during the litigation, that is also something which has to be communicated to the client at the very onset, so that the client's expectations are being met. And lastly, which I think is a really key element, is adaptability. You have to be adaptable not only to what your client, the opposite side is arguing. You have to be adaptable to the changing legal precedents, the changing circumstances. Flexibility in this profession is key to excel and to respond to unexpected challenges.
Yeah, it's a very changing, market, and there are constant updates. So I think these strategies that you have mentioned, the four top strategies, I think is going to help a lot.
I think a lot of these, strategies permeate down and are universal to other segments, other fields as well.
Right. Thank you so much for an elaborated answer, sir. Moving on to the next question, we have, how do you anticipate the legal landscape evolving with the continued advancement in areas such as AI, metaverse, and data analytics?
So I feel with the rapid technological advancements, especially in the field of software and biotechnology,
Right.
interpreting how IP will be applicable to these emerging fields of technologies, I think that's a key challenge for us, for IP lawyers like us. We have new developments that are coming every day. So we have, for instance, the metaverse, like you talked about, AI. There are a lot of challenges with data protection as well. So a lot of these key questions arise every single day. For instance, one of the key questions which have arisen is, if you have a product in metaverse, for instance, can you get protection over that? Suppose the second question is, I think, that if you have, for instance, a trademark over a brand name which is Louis Vuitton, and if somebody is using a counterfeit Louis Vuitton mark in the metaverse, can you go after that person and stop him from using Louis Vuitton? Okay. So these are the questions that are constantly being arisen in our field, and answers are something which we need to come out with. Similarly, when it comes to AI, if somebody makes an artistic work using an AI software tool, now will that person be the owner of that creative work which he has created, or will it be the AI? Because at the end of the day, that person is using an AI software tool. So who will claim ownership of that artistic work? That's something is again something which has arisen not only in India but in other jurisdictions as well. Right. And what will happen if somebody copies that artistic work? Can that person go after that person and stop him from using that artistic work? So these are just a few examples of questions that have come. And 10 years back, nobody would have thought about these questions because the technologies are evolving at such a rapid pace. And with the evolving technologies, you have so many questions that have come up. And now the question is how the Indian courts are going to tackle with these issues, because the law as it stands today is not adequate to answer these questions that I've just talked about. Right. So we have to see how the legislature is going to change the laws, change the IP laws, and how the Indian courts are going to react and give a finding on these questions.
Right. So there are very legit questions that you've raised, and I think one of the questions I just wanted to ask that let's suppose that we have ChatGPT now for content creation. Everybody is using it around the world. So let's suppose a content is created. So do we have laws to protect those, or is it a copyright for the person who was created?
So we have a series of litigations which have been going on in the US, asking the very same issue that you've talked about. And the issue in those litigation is that if ChatGPT, in one of the answers, give any literary answer which is protected by copyright, so can that person who has a copyright, what are the remedies that the person have? Can he stop ChatGPT from giving those answers? So these are questions, which are valid questions. A lot of people in the industry and stakeholders are asking. The answer is something which, we've yet to wait and see how the courts are going to respond to it. But again, that's a very valid question, because ChatGPT is, in essence, what it's doing is basically
Curating the question,
a
right?
lot of
Curating the
answers
information.
from the web, and it may be something which is protected by somebody's IP, and it's giving you as the answer. So that's a valid question, and it'll be interesting to see how courts and governments react to and tackle this issue.
Right. With the technological growth, I think there are a lot of things that has to be kept in mind, and it has to be taken under supervision of the IP law, so that proper assessment can be done and proper nomination can be given for the content that has been created or the product that has been created.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. Given your strong aspiration to upskill regularly in terms of technical laws, how do you stay updated in understanding the technical intricacies of the industry you serve?
So, I mean, it's always about continued legal growth. So, if you're a student, I think you should be looking at doing additional coursework to really explore subjects which you're not studying, but you really want to explore. You want to learn more about. And also, I think obtaining certifications is a really great way to go. I mean, 10 years back, we didn't had many companies who were providing certification courses.
Right.
But right now, you have so many avenues. If you're interested in doing trademark law, you can go do a certification course in trademark law. If you're interested in copyright, you can go do a certification course in copyright. So that's something which students can explore. Not only students, actually, in the US, we had a concept called continued legal education, and as somebody who is barred in New York, it was obligatory for you to continue to attend seminars, continue to learn about new subjects. So that's something which everyone of us can do, not only in the legal fraternity, but stay updated on developments in the legal field. I think that's something which every lawyer has to do if one has to excel. And especially in the intellectual property, you can do so through legal education programs, through other attending seminars. If you're interested in any subject, for instance, AI, there are a lot of organizations out there which are doing pro bono work. So you can join them, and that will really help you understand more about that subject, as well as widen your learning curve.
Right. So, is there any stipulated hours of learning that one should undergo? Is there any prerequisite that is there?
So not in India, but in the US there is a stipulated time period that you have to kind of spend for you to get that points for you to. If every year you have to incur, I think, certain points, and they have to spend a minimum amount of hours on continuing legal education. In India, we don't have any such requirement, but it's always good to continue to learn, continue to explore different fields, because that at the end of the day, that's you as a lawyer, you never know what your next case is going to be. So you might have a client who's going to walk in having an query in AI, for instance. So if you have a basic understanding of AI, if you're updated with the legal developments in the AI field, I think that's going to really help you in in your career in you for you to tackle that case.
Right. So, just out of curiosity, one more question that I wanted to ask. So, what kind of clientage do you have? I mean, what kind of clients do come up to you, and what are the queries that they have in general?
So again, so I think our clients range from different fields. We have FMCG companies, we have companies in the software space, in the SaaS space. We have companies in defense. I work closely with a lot of startups, which maybe in different fields. We also have companies, for instance, in consumer space, making
Okay.
consumer goods. One of my key client is an airline. We provide employment advisory to them as well. So we have different space. One thing about intellectual property is that it's omnipresent. It's in the sense that every company will have IP requirements and needs.
Right.
So that's so uh, our work can come from anywhere.
Right. But then you have to be thorough about what the client is working on, what are their requirements, and what needs to be delivered at the end of the day.
Yes. So one really interesting aspect about IP is that it's constantly evolving, right? As opposed to a different legal domain, for instance, property. You know that in a property, it's a dispute between property, etc. But in
Right.
IP, there's so many key aspects,
Mm-hmm.
so many new developments which are happening every day. The law and the jurisprudence is changing very rapidly. We have a new case. It's a different ball game altogether. So that's something which is really interesting in
Right.
the to work in the IP space.
So there's a new learning with every new client.
Yes, yeah, you can say that.
Quite interesting. So, for the last question that we wanted to ask, because there are a lot of viewers who are watching us and will be seeing this video. So, for aspiring attorney interested in pursuing a career in IP law and technology, what areas within this domain do you think hold the most promise in terms of job growth and professional development?
I think IP in general is, a really interesting space right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of work in the IP field in the last 10 to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's really passionate about technology is, or, music, or somebody who's really into music and entertainment space, I think IP is one area that that person should definitely explore.
Okay.
If you're an IP has a really different facet. So if you're not somebody who likes to argue or go to courts, you can do IP prosecution, which is more like a corporate. You sit at a law firm. You don't have to go to courts. So that's something which you can explore, or you can actually explore transactional work as well. Or IP litigation is also something, if you really like to go argue, if you like to go to courts,
Mm-hmm.
IP litigation is something which you can also explore. There are a lot of avenues, there are a lot of opportunities out there in this space, and if you're really interested, I implore you to go and look for those opportunities.
Right. So, what kind of education background is required if you want to, if someone wants to enter into this field?
So for to do IP litigation, you have to be a lawyer.
Okay.
Sometimes people do ask me this question, that to do patent law, do you really need to have a science background? And the answer to that is yes and no. So if you want to do IP litigation, you need not have a science background.
Okay.
But if you want to do patent prosecution, which is if you want to file and draft patent applications, then it's always better to have a science background. And one of the requirements when for a patent agent is that you need to have a science background. So patent prosecution, yes, but patent litigation, no. And apart from that, anybody who's a lawyer can work in this space. In fact, in my last team, we were doing patent litigation, and 70% of the people actually didn't have a science background. So it's not mandatory, though. If you have a science background, it's going to help you understand the patents. That's something which somebody with a non-science background person might not be able to do.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable inputs. I think most of the aspirants who are going to watch this will have a clear path and they will have a better understanding. And if in case somebody is interested, maybe they will connect with you for more details.
If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them as well.
Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss a video from us.